In a stunning turn of events, CNN unleashes a scathing critique on Joe Biden, questioning his recent actions and decisions. Meanwhile, in a very surprising move, Senator Mitch McConnell breaks ranks, voting against President Donald Trump's Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Is this the beginning of a political upheaval within the GOP? Guys, stay tuned. We are about to dive into this explosive developments that is shaking the nation's capital.
Friday night firing at least a dozen inspector generals. Those are the internal watchdogs who monitor federal agencies. Now,
we just saw Pete Hegseth. We watched the vice president cast the tie-breaking vote. Pete Hegseth will be the new Secretary of Defense.
With the stunning reversal from something President Biden and the White
From CNN's unexpected confrontation within the Biden administration to Mitch McConnell's bold defiance against Trump, we're now uncovering the stories that could redefine American politics. Don't miss out, guys. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you so much for sharing this video. You guys really do help out the channel.
White House have for months and months and months said he would emphatically not do. Pardon his adult son Hunter, who was convicted of 12 federal crimes. 6 of them felonies, including tax evasion and unlawful gun possession, while at the same time, the president was telling the rest of us this.
I'm extremely proud of my son, Hunter. I'm not going to do anything. I said I abide by the jury decision. I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, who's been saying this for months to the American people.
Is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
Well,
I just said no.
I should note that we have a statement here from Mitch McConnell. He was one of the 3 Republicans who voted no, and he says, quote, mere desire to be a change agent is not enough, speaking of Pete Hegseth, and he failed to demonstrate that he will pass this test of global leadership.
Who would have thought that it would be CNN to break the story on President Biden, right? Yet, here we are. CNN anchor Jake Tapper, he just speculated that Joe Biden may have secretly pardoned himself, and the network may be siding with Trump on this one, believe it or not. Now, speaking of, our president also made headlines over the weekend as he fired more than a dozen inspectors general. These are the officials that are supposed to be conducting audits, investigations, and inspections into allegations of waste, fraud, and abuse. So is this part of President Trump's draining of the swamp in Washington? Could these IGs be a part of something that they're supposed to be guarding against? Answers to all of that and more later in today's video. But last but not least, Senator Mitch McConnell just sent a pretty concerning message to the Trump administration as the former Senate leader voted no on Pete Hegseth's Senate confirmation. Trump's defense secretary still made it through thanks to a tie-breaking vote from Vice President J.D. Vance, but this Mitch McConnell guy, no vote, I mean, definitely raised a lot of eyebrows among Trump's team. Now, the question is, was what Mitch McConnell did like a power move, or is the former Republican leader just desperately just trying to stay relevant? Like, what is the deal with this guy, right? Lots to cover in this one, you guys, so definitely stay right there. Appreciate you hitting the like button and subscribing. So first, like, there's this major turnaround going on in CNN. It looks like the network is turning its back on Biden, as even its own anchor, Jake Tapper, just said that it's very possible that the former president issued a preemptive pardon to pardon himself without letting the American people know about it. Here, check this out.
With the stunning reversal from something President Biden and the White House have for months and months and months said he would emphatically not do. Pardon his adult son Hunter, who was convicted of 12 federal crimes, 6 of them felonies, including tax evasion and unlawful gun possession. Sources told CNN today that President Biden did not go through the office of the pardon attorney at the Justice Department, as is standard. In fact, President Biden has been discussing pardoning his son with top aides since Hunter's conviction in June, according to NBC News' reporting, while at the same time, the president was telling the rest of us this.
Let me ask you, will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes. I'm extremely proud of my son, Hunter. He has overcome an addiction. He's one of the brightest, most decent men I know. And I am satisfied that I'm not going to do anything. I said I abide by the jury decision. I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
President Biden lying about this, of course, makes others in his administration and allies either credulous or complicit, including White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, who's been saying this for months to the American people.
Is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No. I just said no. I just answered.
I could speak for the president, and he said he would not pardon his son.
Does the president have any intention of pardoning him?
We've been asked that question multiple times. Our answer stands, which is no.
The answer does not stand.
So yeah, it's pretty interesting to hear Jake Tapper actually considering how we were just talking about the network's new approach to the second Trump administration. Y'all know what I'm talking about here, right? Plus, you got Jake Tapper, who made the admission to the New York Times correspondent and frequent Trump critic Maggie Haberman. So it's kind of an extra slap to the face right there. Now, we also have to consider this kind of secret presidential pardon. This is exactly the kind of thing that I'm sure came under the spotlight 4 years ago after Trump lost the 2020 election to Joe Biden, as he also issued a number of pardons to allies, but notably not to himself or any family members. A lot of folks at the time speculated that at the time, Trump could have issued secret pardons, which are technically possible, but have never been documented in U.S. history. Because you see, here's the thing, guys. The clause in the Constitution that grants presidential pardoning powers does not explicitly prevent them from being secret. Now, just to be clear, you guys, at the moment, there is no clear indication that neither Trump nor Biden ever issued secret pardons. Experts on the Constitution have even argued that the public nature of a pardon is what makes them legally valid. Still, you gotta wonder though, right? Because Biden's 11th hour pardons have definitely raised some eyebrows. Thanks to this, he set the record for the most pardons and sentence commutations in a single presidential term, except for Jimmy Carter's pardons for Vietnam draft dodgers in 1977. I mean, like, who can forget the man's sweeping pardon for his son, Hunter Biden, despite previously denying left and right that he had plans to do so many times? That was a whole other thing, considering how Hunter Biden may have been the key to what many critics called Joe Biden's crime family. Haberman even added that although Biden has presidential immunity for official acts that he took in the White House, Trump's comments to Sean Hannity seemed to be talking about activities that were taken before Biden was in office. She said Trump seemed to be referring to money-making efforts by the Biden family prior to the presidency, and we'll see whether that turns into an investigation of some time in the future. Oh, and let's not forget, guys, Biden also issued preemptive pardons for Dr. Anthony Fauci and all 9 members of the January 6th committee, including frequent Trump nemesis Liz Cheney. In total, the 82-year-old issued 8,064 pardons during his tenure, with 6,500 of those coming by way of a sweeping pardon for those convicted of marijuana possession. Now, this is just second to recently deceased former President Jimmy Carter, whose draft dodging pardons impacted over 200,000 individuals. Seriously, guys, I wouldn't be surprised if Joe Biden pardoned himself for pardoning these many people. Drop a quick yes in the comments down below. Hit the like button if you guys agree with what I'm saying here. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate you guys sharing this video. You are absolutely amazing. Now, from Biden, we move over to the conversation regarding Trump. So Joe may be leaving the White House a complete mess, but Trump's making it a priority to take out the trash. That's how many supporters see this latest move from the president, firing more than a dozen inspectors general. Now, of course, the haters going to hate. They're going to do what they always do. They're going to twist whatever Trump is doing into something bad. Just watch this take from NBC.
On Friday night, firing at least a dozen inspector generals. Those are the internal watchdogs who monitor federal agencies. Now, that's according to the Washington Post and the New York Times. The dismissals could violate federal law, as the inspector generals are confirmed by the Senate, and any dismissals typically require 30 days notice to Congress. The firings are some of the largest government agencies, coming into some of the largest government agencies, including the Department of Defense, the state, transportation.
You know who Trump should fire next? I don't know. The likes of ABC, NBC, and MSNBC. You know what I mean? But yeah, seriously, guys, like, we've just heard of the president firing 17 inspector generals on Friday night, government officials who were tasked with evaluating federal departments on issues including the law and the use of taxpayer money. Inspectors general for the Departments of Defense, State, Transportation, Veteran Affairs, Housing and Urban Development, Interior, and Energy were all let go. And this 17 IGs out of a total 73 IGs. Emails were sent late on Friday night notifying IGs that their employment was being terminated effective immediately. Get the hell on. So lawmakers said that he has given them 30 days notice. But this has happened before. Ronald Reagan, he fired all existing IGs when he took office in 1981, but he later reinstated half of them following an intense backlash because these are independent positions. They can be removed by the president or the agency head, depending on who nominated or appointed them. But you can trust the Democrats to make a big stink about this. Senator Elizabeth Warren wasted no time at all calling it a dismantling of checks on his power and paving the way for widespread corruption. But if Trump really did this to remove power, why were most of these dismissed appointees from Trump's 2017 to 2021 first term? Kind of makes you think, right? It really disables her whole argument. Plus, by law, an inspector general must be hired without regard to political party and solely on the basis of integrity and demonstrated ability in accounting, auditing, financial analysis, law, management analysis, public administration, or investigations. Meaning, there are definitely going to be some replacement IGs here that would serve the same purpose. You know what I mean? And so last year, Joe Biden himself fired the Inspector General of the U.S. Railroad Retirement Board after an investigation found that the official had created a hostile working environment. In 2022, Congress also strengthened protections for inspectors general, making it harder to replace them with hand-picked officials and requiring additional explanations from a president for their removal. So yeah, we can definitely expect an explanation here because, like one of the fired IGs pointed out, it's a widespread massacre. Whoever Trump puts in now will be viewed as loyalists, and that undermines the entire system. But hey, let's go ahead and give him the benefit of the doubt. Senator Chuck Grassley, the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, said that there may have been a good reason the IGs were fired. We need to know that if so. So what do you guys think? Is this the part of Trump draining the swamp? Hit me up in the comments, guys. Drop a yes or no. Let me know what you think. Now, another controversial move that made headlines over the weekend, former Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell voting no on Pete Hegseth as Trump's defense secretary. So here's what they said about it on Fox. Check this out.
As we just saw, Pete Hegseth, we watched the vice president cast the tie-breaking vote. Pete Hegseth will be the new Secretary of Defense. My understanding is they are now debating and a cloture vote is about to begin as it relates to Kristi Noem, Department of Homeland Security Secretary. What's the status on the House floor, on the Senate floor now as we speak?
Yeah, they just started that vote to break the filibuster on the Noem nomination. She will be able to overcome that filibuster and probably have bipartisan support if they were to go to that vote tonight. We just don't know. If they don't agree to go to that tonight, then they could vote to confirm her on Sunday morning. There's been a lot of rattling up here on Capitol Hill about sticking around all weekend. I should note that we have a statement here from Mitch McConnell. He was one of the 3 Republicans who voted no, and he says, quote, mere desire to be a change agent is not enough, speaking of Pete Hegseth, and he failed to demonstrate that he will pass this test of global leadership.
Now, you got to give it to the guy, right? Mitch McConnell, he might not run the Senate anymore, but he did exert some power when he did this. After days on days of not answering reporters' questions about whether he would support Pete Hegseth's defense secretary nomination, good old Mitch McConnell, he became the 3rd Senate Republican to vote against Pete Hegseth. The move forced Vice President J.D. Vance to break a tie to get him through. But this also made him the first cabinet nominee since 2017 to need help from the vice president. So yeah, Mitch McConnell sending a message loud and clear that he's willing to buck the president even after stepping down from leadership, especially on national security issues. Mitch McConnell issued a pretty lengthy statement about it. He warned that whoever leads the Pentagon faces a daily test with staggering consequences for the security of the American people and our global interests. And as for Pete Hegseth, Mitch McConnell said that the nominee has failed as yet to demonstrate that he will pass this test. He even threatened that as Hegseth assumes office, the consequences of failure are as high as they've ever been. Now, like I said before, guys, we got to watch out for the threats to the incoming administration, and Mitch McConnell has made loud and clear that he intends to use his vote to make his points, because he definitely made sure that they can't count him out just yet. He may not be Republican Senate leader anymore, but Mitch McConnell, he secured the Appropriations Subcommittee gavel that will give him control over more than $800 billion in yearly defense spending. As for Trump's picks, Mitch McConnell, he made a veiled threat during a Senate floor speech earlier this year, saying that he'll confirm nominees to senior national security roles whose record and experience will make them immediate assets, not liabilities, in the pursuit of peace through strength. But Trump was actually anticipating this. In fact, earlier that same day, he said that, of course, Mitch is always a no vote. So yeah, our own president, he already knows Mitch McConnell is going to be trouble. It's no secret that the two have a pretty rough relationship. They didn't speak for like 3.5 years after the then Senate leader congratulated Joe Biden as president-elect in December 2020. I don't know why like Mitch McConnell doesn't just convert over to being like a legitimate full-fledged Democrat, right? He even went after Trump following the January 6, 2021 Capitol attack. But then he voted against convicting Trump on impeachment counts and pledged to support him should he reclaim the GOP presidential nomination. And so now it's just pretty much a matter of keeping a close eye on this guy, because it's not just Pete Hegseth that he might vote no on. There's also Tulsi Gabbard's Director of National Intelligence nomination and possibly Kash Patel's FBI director pick. And given how he had polio as a child, some say he could be a possible opponent of his HHS secretary nomination for Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who has questioned the efficacy and the safety of vaccines. Plus, the man is all for continuing to arm Ukraine to the point that he's actually been pushing back against fellow Republicans who want to block new funding to help rebuff Russia. In short, Mitch McConnell may cause some headaches for President Trump down the line, and by extension, the American people who voted for him. But let me know your thoughts on this one, guys. Are we blowing things out of proportion, or is Mitch McConnell blowing things out of proportion? We've got to keep an eye on this former Senate leader. Yeah. Anyway, drop a quick comment down below, guys. Let's get a conversation started. We can definitely pick this up on a future update. Just say the word, guys. As always, appreciate you guys hitting the like button. Thank you so much for sharing this video. You guys are awesome. We'll see you guys next time.